Hello, everybody. Welcome to this market report. My name is Christian Charlo. Today we're Thursday, June 11th, 2015. Today, folks, in the markets, we definitely have markets that are tough to predict what's going to be the next direction. Because if we take a look at the market situation here, we have the NASDAQ that have reached its resistance. Now it's losing some upward momentum. So we continue to remain neutral on the NASDAQ. On the Dow Jones, after testing this downward trend, we're unable to break it. So as long as the Dow Jones stays between 18,112 points and 17,750 points, it's still neutral. For the SPY, S&P 500, we have reached this resistance of May 21st, around 212 points approximately, and now we're totally neutral on the SPY. So we definitely have markets that remain neutral, where for swing trading, it's kind of tough to actually determine what are the sectors where you should over allocate your exposure or not. Now, with this situation, others opportunities, what we have seen is that we have seen a lot of Chinese companies that have been really active, but mostly for day trading, and on marketgurus.tv that you can have access for free for 10 days just by clicking at the link below. We have published a list of Chinese stocks that are actually active. And the reason why they are active, though, is that they're going to create a new index, EEM, that will include some Chinese companies that are trading on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. So a lot of investors who are tracking this index will buy those companies to be able to create a new index with those companies in it. So we're starting to see a flow of buyers coming in into those stocks. And here is the best Chinese companies that have been really active for day trading. We had Weibo, WB on NASDAQ. What have been the entry points on a stock like that? What we had several of them. First, we had a neutral formation here, clear break of that resistance. That was an entry point. Another one came here on Weibo, where we had actually a stochastics that was confirming a higher bottom, right? A bottom here, that is higher. Clear break of that resistance, so that was an entry point. Since then, that entry point has not performed as much, but it was still a great entry point. DSKY, look, all an important side of information. Finally, the breakout came here when the stochastics was confirming a higher bottom. That was an entry point at 1203. Now again, the stock is confirming an entry point, DSKY on NASDAQ. So that's actually a clear entry point on a stock like that for day trading. There also has been DL on New York. The stock gave some entry points here and there, right? 1750 and also at 1686. Now the stock remains neutral, so higher than 1809 is going to be a go. 1352 as well for TEDU on NASDAQ is an entry point. The stock gave an entry point here at 1338, but since then the stock has stayed totally flat, just like the markets. And there's Mobi. Mobi, if it could go above 530, that's going to be the go for day trading on the stock like that. We also had an entry point here that came in at 512 when the stock clearly reversed this downward trend, and we had a stochastics that was tilting towards the overbought situation on increasing volume. So at 512 came the entry point. Now at 530, it's more a profit-taking opportunity. Now, if the stock could actually go higher than 530, that's going to be the new entry point for those of you who were unable to get in Mobi at 512. So here's the list here of all the stocks in the Chinese companies that are active. All the ones with an S are the ones I've been showing you in the intraday chart. So those ones are actually remaining active. Most other stocks, such as Mobi, well, that stock could pursue its rally, but I doubt it could as much because we're overbought. So I'm not sure it's going to be really active for the next few days for day trading. NPD, clear breakout. So for those of you who want to get in for swing trading, it's a go. However, 1179% increase, so the risk potential is really great because technically speaking, the exit point should be below that support at 250, but that would be too much of a loss potential. So what I would suggest you to do is to either put an exit point if ever we go below 285. So if ever we lose all today's gains, put an exit point on that stock. Candy could be a breakout higher than $10. It has to be watched. We do have the momentum indicators that are positive. Stochastics here showing a wave of buyers, but at $10, that's the go on a stock like Candy. And HDHT, clear entry point on that stock for swing trading. However, it's already surging by 8%. So there's actually a lot of risk on those stocks because they're surging by more than 5%. However, you need to make sure you put either your trailing stop, so if ever the stock loses 5, 6, or 7% or so, you get rid of it. And that's actually the risk that you have. And also markets are neutral though. So there's a risk that those stocks might not perform well for tomorrow. And this is why we believe that the best strategy that we have favored on marketgurus.tv is to limit yourself to day trade those stocks. So here's the list. Most stocks, all those stocks are Chinese companies. The ones with an S have been the ones that have been most active. And in terms of our best pick, DSQY is actually the best pick because that's the one which actually giving right now on June 11th at 2 o'clock a clear entry point for day traders. So this was Christian Charlo for MarketGurus.tv. You can always have access to our Facebook page, and also I invite you to share your strategies. And folks, never forget, the more money you make, the happier we are. See you next week.